Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Welcome to this latest episode of our podcast. It is your host, Doreen Rainey, and I am super excited as we are gearing up for our upcoming Get Radical Women's Conference, March 20th through 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia. Let me tell you, this experience is for you if you are ready to step into your next level of success. I am committed to sharing, teaching, coaching those who attend all about how to move from information gatherer to action taker. If you have some goals that you have been thinking about, writing about, journaling about, but you haven't quite made the progress that you want to have made by now, there is something else at play. And we're going to be exploring setting your authentic goals, dealing with procrastination, overcoming fear, taking bold moves, taking a risk. And so I want to invite you personally to join me in Atlanta for the Get Radical Women's Conference. We have people coming from all across the country. It is March 20th through 22nd. You can go to getradicalconference.com. You can register, get all the details, because I would absolutely love to see you there. And speaking of the conference, one of our keynote speakers, Jennifer Justus, what an amazing woman. She is the former general counsel for Jay-Z's Roc Nation, and now she is the founder of the Justice Department, where she works with women-owned businesses to help make sure their marketing and their branding is on point, to help them negotiate big deals, get paid what they are worth, and more importantly, to use their voice so that they can achieve everything they want, both professionally and personally. I had the privilege of interviewing Jennifer for Facebook Live, and boy, oh boy, did she drop some nuggets about mentorship, about bouncing back, about not giving up. And I want to share that interview with you right now. So go ahead, take a listen, and then make sure you go register for our upcoming conference at getradicalconference.com. Here's my conversation with Jennifer. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you guys are as excited as I am about this very special conversation that I have going on today with the amazing, the wonderful, the incredible, someone I truly admire for who she is and the work that she's doing in this world, Jennifer Justus, affectionately known as JJ. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. Very excited and honored. Thank you.
Yes, I am really looking forward to this conversation. Many of you already know that JJ is going to be joining us at the upcoming Get Radical Women's Conference, happening March 20th through 22nd in Atlanta. And JJ is an experienced executive and attorney in the fields of entertainment, music, media, and she has worked with some incredible artists, incredible brands, including Jay-Z, Roc Nation, and she's really been on the forefront of helping people, helping women grow themselves, not only in the entertainment industry, but beyond that as well. So thank you so much, JJ, for being here with us today.
Of course, thank you.
And so, you know that we have just started a brand new year, and whether people set resolutions or set goals, there's something about turning that page from December 31st to January 1. And we're wrapping up this first year of this first month of the year, as well as moving into a new decade. So first off, tell me, do you make resolutions? Do you set goals? Do you have any New Year rituals?
I don't have any like rituals per se, but I do like to set kind of goals. It's a good time to be like, okay, what do I want to happen this year? What are the things? And I don't set like concrete, like I'm going to lose 5 pounds, or I'm going to like, I set more like, okay, how can I be better as, a mother, as a friend, and in my business, and push myself. And so it's more like macro goals versus like these micro little steps. And then I kind of check in with myself on a monthly basis and make sure that I'm, you know, doing what I say that I'm going to do, right? So I
Right.
think it's just a good time frame, to box things around, to be like, this is what's going to happen in this year.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about your story, and how you came to do the work that you do and why you're so passionate about it.
Right. I came from, a very small town in Washington State. I was one of the first to go to college. I ended up going to University of Washington. And when I did, I graduated. And because I didn't have anybody who had gone through college in my family or kind of the extended family, I didn't really have any mentorship of what I should do. So I ended up going to law school. While at law school, I found out that there was these kinds of lawyers called music entertainment lawyers. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And, because I realized very quickly after just interning in a summer at a big Wall Street law firm that I wasn't going to have like the ability to get clients that easily because I didn't, again, have mentorship, and I wasn't, didn't go to college or boarding school with, the father of XYZ that could help me get business. So I was like, I knew I could do it through in musicians because most of us came from the same background. So that's exactly what I did. And I started as a music attorney in this law firm called Cotico, Carroll, Guido and Groffman. It was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they were going through their whole list of clients, and they were like, Marilyn Manson and Dave Matthews Band and Blues Traveler. And then we have this young hip hop artist, Jay-Z. And I was like, oh, I love Reasonable Doubt. And so that's how I started working with him, when ignorance is bliss, right?
Right.
And so, in the music industry, the lawyers have a pretty big role in their artists' careers because, their agents only service one area, which is the live performances. So I really got a firsthand look into the business side of all of the music industry. So I grew up in the business, I just started accumulating more and more clients. And another side angle that we did, so we're doing Jay-Z and Outkast and Method Man and Redman and, had all these amazing artists, but we were also representing a lot of executives. And I represented a guy who was a director at a big publishing company, and he was like entry level, getting $130,000 a year. And then I did the senior director for a woman, and she was getting 90. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I was outraged. And I was
Yeah.
like, no one else seemed that outraged about it though. And I was like, why is this okay with everybody? Like, she's a woman and she's getting less money. And so it was always kind of my passion on the side to have gender equality. And then, I did the deal for Jay-Z to start Rock Nation. Then I came in house. I was the general counsel there. Then I became the EVP. Jay-Z had turned his hobbies into businesses. I had a big part in a lot of that. And then I, segued that in Rock Nation of helping other artists do the same. I left there 4 years ago. I went to a company called Superfly, which is a live experience company. They own music festivals, they own Bonnaroo and Outside Lands, started a few other and do a lot of experiential stuff. And then, all told though, I was still had this big passion for female equality. I noticed that nothing was really changing and just started thinking about why that was, and kind of determined that there wasn't really a lot of help on the business side for women. To really, be there for them in that way. And I, watched men give and worked for men and watched them give each other business and only each other business. And I was like, okay, that's what I can do for women. So I'm really doing, so then I started the Justice Department just under a year ago. And I'm doing the same thing as business development strategy. And I also have a law firm, but I'm hyper focused on doing that for female businesses and entrepreneurs and talent, and creatives.
Yes. Your story is chock full of just nuggets that I hope people picked up on as you gave your timeline. And one of the things you mentioned early on was mentorship, that you didn't have mentors, you had to find mentors. So how do you feel about mentorship as a necessity for people, and how can people go about getting the mentoring that they need to get where they want to go?
Well, I think I like to have since evolved around that, and I see it more as like sponsorship, right? Because it really should be a two-way street. You should be getting something from each other. I think, what is always worked for men is that they know that they're bringing up the next generation. I liken it to sports where it's like you have the rookie and then you have the star, right? The star was once a rookie, they come up and then they know that they're going to be eventually replaced by these rookies, but you have to work as a team and you have different experience levels and you should be, trying to help each other out no matter what. And I think it's that kind of partnership that you both should be getting something out of it. And it's not just like I'm giving you all this access, but like we both have to be working towards something bigger, and that's really what it is.
And what advice do you have for people who are seeking mentors or seeking sponsorship, and how to begin to go about making those connections and connecting with those who are in a position to be that sponsor for them?
Well, if it's somebody looking for one, then I would say, look, don't look to one person, right? You don't know what they're going through at any given time. You know what I mean? It's like everyone knows when you have young kids, it's crazy. And then, if they're out, like, so think about like 10 to 20 different ones that you can reach out to on a LinkedIn or whatever. But also it's like, know what you're going to ask, like, and be very direct about it. Like, I want to know these XYZ things. How did you do X, Y, and Z? Sometimes they're like, so I just wanted to know all about you. And I'm like, but that's like, I'm really busy, what I mean? And I got here, like, so you can't do it in a way that's just, not very, like, totally calculated,
Right.
and
Yeah.
make sure it's like something that can help. It's like nice to just meet people like, oh, I just want to meet you because you're like famous, but it's like, okay, well, I have no idea what you're doing over here in this kind of area of XYZ. So, it should be somebody that has some practical applicability to it.
Yes, yes. And the other piece of your story that I thought was so valuable was taking on people in their infancy stages and being with them as they grow and as they continue to build their brand or build their business. And what was it? Did you see something in Jay-Z or some of the artists that you were working with that said, yes, this is going to go somewhere? Or was it more of going with the flow as they built their brand?
Well, I was a little going with the flow as they built their brand because, I was new at the time. And then the older, and more experienced I got, then I could determine whether or not it was somebody that I would want to take on. What I would say to them is like, if you're not working as hard as I am every week, then I don't really want to, it's not like you hire an attorney. It's like, go back and create the magic. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a team effort and people might have their lanes, but if you know somebody that's in somebody else's lane, that doesn't mean like you just go, well, why didn't you do that? Like, we all have to be working together as a team. And then, for me now, it's more like, I have to work with women who really are committed to this cause of female equality and really understand there's a real problem here. And like, and it's never going to get resolved unless we all work on it on a real, like, almost emergency basis,
Yeah. Yes. And when you talk about that, you had kind of a behind the scenes access. So when you saw that a guy was getting more than the woman who was doing the same job or even in a higher position, you were able to like recognize and question that.
Yeah.
But I think about women who, maybe they're offered, let's just say 100,000.
Yeah.
And they negotiate and they're like, yes, I got 120, but they still don't know that the man was getting 150, 160. And so in that fight for equality, when you talk about just knowledge, just getting the understanding of what's actually happening in a particular industry or with particular roles, what recommendations do you have for women around getting that data, that intel?
Yeah. Or we need to talk to each other about it. Men talk to each other about money all the time, and we need to ask them what they're getting paid. If they won't, say it to you, then maybe somebody else will. You just need to get, you need your tribe, your network, and you need to ask each other and you need to tell each other. It's got to happen like that. It's, a lot of people are told by their companies that it's against the law or they can tell them not to. It's actually against the law for them to try to stop them from talking about their salaries. It's a labor board act, in fact. And so, people need to, like, they need to give each other this information.
Right. Now, at the Radical Success Institute, our whole focus is to help people define success for themselves and get the guts to go after it,
Right.
because it's two very different things. A lot of times we can identify what we want, we can talk about what we want, we can vision board what we want, we can do all those things, but ultimately it takes guts and courage to be able to decide, what does success mean for me, and what bold steps do I need to take to make it happen? And so at this point in your life and in your career, when you think about starting the Justice Department and family, how do you now define success?
Well, I define success more as a holistic approach, right? Wealth from, your holistic wealth. And that's not necessarily WEALTH, it's WELLTH too.
Right.
It's like the wealth. It's like nothing's more important than the health of your family, right? And, and then it's like, how balanced am I doing something? Do I have to compromise my ethics every day to have a job? How am I, modeling for my kids and being able to show them that when I'm not with them, it's because I'm fulfilling myself, on a daily basis. And that's much easier said than done. And it's taken me my entire career to get here, right? Like, I basically been compromising my ethics for the most part, and and like, but I think most women are like, you're living in patriarchal systems, and we're forced to, right? So we're forced to do things we don't want to, and that's what we find, about politics and politicians in general. And like, there's no ideal scenario, but I think it's having just the knowledge that you are going to be much happier as a human being, knowing that you're fulfilling a purpose in life and what you're doing,
Yes, yes. And throughout your journey, whether it was representing artists or now at the Justice Department and working with female business owners and entrepreneurs, every stage, every next level, I always feel like there's an element of fear that comes up, or maybe a little bit of doubt that creeps in. Have you ever experienced that in your journey? A little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, a little bit of second guessing?
Oh yeah.
And
Like
if
every day, like 5 times a day already. You know what I mean? Of course. It's like, of
yes,
course you have to, but I just know that I'm doing the right thing.
mm-hmm.
And I know that we're making a difference. And so it's I mean, from time immemorial, I've been told, like, that's not what we do in our family. We just don't like go to college like this. This is not like, you're not meant to be here or there, or as a woman, you're not allowed in these boardrooms or this, conversation, or you're not taken seriously. And it's like, okay, am I really not that good? But wait, my past like kind of tells me I was. It's a constant conversation. I mean, the great thing about representing mostly women is, instead of having two conversations in my head, which is like, you're in a conference room and it's all men and you're like, wait a minute, why isn't he looking at me? Why is he looking at my male assistant instead of me? Why is he asking me to get coffee? Should I speak up too much? Am I speaking too much? Am I speaking too loud? Am I like, I have one conversation, which is like, what's the agenda? And then maybe, where'd you get your nails done?
Right,
It's like, it's,
right.
yeah.
And how do you stay resilient in a fight that is going to be the long game?
Right.
How do you stay celebrating the wins that you have, but not get discouraged when you look at still the distance left to go?
Yeah. I mean, that's like, if you would have asked me that the second week of January, or I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. But I was like, okay, tomorrow's another day. It's a Friday. I'm going to go home. I'm going to snuggle with my babies. This is the right thing to do. I'm going to take a day or two, and I'm not going to work at all on Saturday. And then I'm going to, because we know we're resilient. We're, as women, and we can give birth. We can like what our bodies can do alone. It's like, and so I just have to, reset, reboot all the time. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Reset, reboot, to be resilient. Is there any ritual or anything that, is it just getting home, resetting yourself, and just hitting the day again? Or is there something in particular that you go to or think about or read that kind of puts you back in the game from a head's perspective?
No, I find like the universe almost takes care of that a little way. It's like, whenever like you start feeling sorry for yourself, some tragedy comes along. It's like, oh my God, like, like,
Yeah.
like I have my nothing's going on in my life like this right now. or, and I wish I could say like, I meditate every day. But I mean, I can't, like, I don't, I wish, but I don't, oh, 20 minutes every day. I'm like, you live in my house for a day and see if you have 20 minutes every day. Like, so I don't have some kind of ritual, but I have been through it enough. I mean, and that's the one thing with, age is experience, is that I know that like things will change, things will turn around, this, too shall pass, like all of it. And I just you have to mentally tell yourself that and just keep going.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm telling you, I am super excited that you'll be joining us in Atlanta. For those of you watching, let us know that you're here. Tell us where you're from, where you're tuning in from, what you're most excited about in this conversation, what your biggest takeaway is from this conversation, your biggest aha. If you're catching this on the replay, make sure you give us a hashtag replay and also let us know what your biggest aha or biggest takeaway is. So JJ, before I let you go, can you share with us a piece of advice that you've gotten over the years that has really served you well, that you're like, man, if I could just adhere to this, I know that I can keep going. And some great advice for those people tuning in.
Right. Well, it's a little funny, but like, there's this woman who's a friend of mine and a mentor, and I like admire her. And her name is Cindy Gallup, and she always says, like, whenever you're questioning or doubting yourself, just think, what would a straight white man do? And then do that.
Yes, I love that.
And sometimes when I'm like doubting myself, I'm like, oh wait, Cindy Gallup. Right. Okay. If I was a man, I would say, yes, of course I could do this.
Yes.
Somebody calls me like, hey, do you do X, Y, Z? I'm like, yeah,
Right. And that's a great analogy. Just act, do, be bold enough, just like they are. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time today to talk to us. Those of you who will be joining us in Atlanta who are VIPs, we're going to have some special time with JJ, and she's going to be answering even more of your questions. And we're going to have a deeper conversation about women and their power, women in their quest for equality, and having that confidence and assertiveness to go out there and demand, to put a stake in the ground about what you're capable of, about what you deserve, and how you can go out there and make it happen.
Right.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.